All right. Perfect. Again, welcome everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the session. We are opening this 0th day of the Hungarian Instructor Conference. My name is Eugene, as you probably know. If you don't know me, I am the technical manager for Cisco Networking Academy. Yeah, so today, as you can see on the agenda, we are going to have kind of 3 sessions, or 2 sessions actually. I have 2 separate slide decks for the first 2 hours. And then we will also have some interactive, hopefully very interactive workshop in the last 2 hours. And we will also have a half-minute coffee break in the middle. All right, so in the first half, we will start with some program or course and technical updates deck. And in order to start with this one, let me share my screen. And just a quick reminder, please feel free to type your questions in chat at any time. So I will try to make some pauses and read and answer the questions if you have some. Right, so the purpose of this specific slide deck is to really go through a set of most important updates, at least as I think about them. And this is just mostly a collection of news, and my intention was to bring you the most recent updates, as well as maybe not so much recent, but important ones. Maybe this should serve also to some of you as a good reminder. So for this first session, roughly 1 hour, probably maybe a little bit less, we are going to talk on the LMS updates. We will talk about WebEx for NetAcad, CE credits, 2 relatively new courses, CyberOps Associate and DevNet Associate. There are some IT Essentials updates, especially regarding to the Hungarian instructor community. And of course, a very hot topic right now is the new CCNA 702 with the Packet Tracer 8. And of course, I have a couple words to say about instructor professional development. Right, so let's get started with the LMS updates, just some recent news. And of course, you've probably noticed that we are migrating from the old LMS into the newer LMS experience. And actually, migration is almost done for now already. We have had a period of choice when you could choose whether, when you create a new course, whether to use the old LMS or the new one. And as of now, we are somewhere over here in the end of February. And all new courses right now are created in the new course experience. However, there might be some older courses which you still have open. One important deadline or one important time milestone here is the end of July. This is the final date for these legacy courses to end. So you will need to end these courses before August. And yeah, please make sure you do that. And actually, I think you also should have the end course date of 31st July enforced on your classes. Right, we try to ease transition to the new LMS as much as possible. And again, as I said, we plan to complete legacy courses by end of July. What you should do, first of all, you need to kind of keep in mind that this will be the end of these courses if you still have them. If you have any customizations in your courses, please make sure you save them before these courses are archived. You've seen there is also the period of archiving courses. It's about roughly 2 months. I think, yeah, and please make sure you download your customizations. It could be some custom assignments or assessments, or question banks, or any documents, PowerPoints, videos, etc. Also, please finalize the gradebook in these classes before these courses are archived, because once courses are archived, you cannot make any changes to the gradebook, and these grades will be the students' final grades, and mark students complete before the courses are archived. And if you want to keep this gradebook in detailed grades, please export the gradebook to a file and store it somewhere. Yeah, we also have the Platform Updates Hub, and the Platform Updates Hub is really a place where you can get all the recent information and all the reference information about the platform evolution. And another update I have that came in December 2020, that's specifically related to assessment activation engine. The maximum attempts for the activation are now course-based, so they are bound within the course instead of just global. If you remember, when you do some activation, sometimes your student may have, it happens very rarely, but sometimes it may happen that your students have taken the same exam in some previous classes, maybe even in a different academy. And it's in some corner cases that could create some problems. So not anymore, because now the maximum attempts is really just how many attempts you give to this student or to your class in this specific course. Right, so you no longer have to track down another instructor, allocate old class, or solve the problem with the support desk. Another important topic, WebEx for Networking Academy. I think we have communicated so a lot about this amazing offer. But just to remind, Networking Academy offers all instructors who teach Cisco career and training courses a free NetAcad WebEx account. So you can use WebEx for free. It is a fully featured enterprise WebEx with all the rich features imaginable. Just a couple more details regarding eligibility. It is Cisco career and training instructors. What does it mean? Cisco career and training means you need to teach one of these courses: CCNA, CCNP, CyberOps Associate, or DevNet Associate. So you need to be instructor for at least one of these courses, and you need to be active instructor starting a class after July 26. Also, another requirement, and this is something we did not choose to put here. It is more technical requirement which we could not overcome. There is also a requirement that you should not have any existing WebEx account linked to your email address. If you already have some WebEx account linked to your email address, we will not be able to provide NetAcad WebEx for you until you delete this existing WebEx account and free up your email from it. The WebEx license you receive, it's a full enterprise capabilities. It includes unlimited number of minutes. It includes meetings service, training service, and events with up to 1,000 attendees per event. Right, so this is like really full blown, and of course WebEx Teams is also included. Also, one limitation, this is the only thing which is not available in NetAcad WebEx: no phone calls. Okay, so you cannot connect audio by phone, you cannot dial into sessions, and you cannot request WebEx for what's it called, a return call. Voice over IP, of course, is enabled in the sessions, and it's similar to what we are using right now. This WebEx account is entirely managed by NetAcad, and all instructors' inquiries should be sent to the NetAcad support desk. Yeah, just a couple words about the rollout. We currently have no automated way to provide these WebEx accounts to instructors, so that's why we really wanted to instructors to really start using this WebEx and start benefiting from this WebEx as soon as possible. So we do these rollouts manually as of now, and we look forward at some point to have, to have the license integration, and we hope this is coming really soon. License integration into the LMS, right? And this will integrate and automate license granting process directly in the LMS. So basically, you should have a button in your NetAcad account, and once you click this button, you will just get the license. We don't have this yet. This is still in development, and manual activations will continue to be completed until the automated process is in place. All right, speaking of the manual activations, let's jump here up regarding on the pre-integration phase. We have done on February 18th, 4th, an already batch of activation delivery. We included, to be included in the future activations, please have your instructor NetAcad email address clear of any other WebEx account association. So you do not need to make any specific action. You do not have to request it. You just need two things. You need to be eligible from the instructor perspective, and you need to be free of any other accounts on WebEx accounts on your email address. And then the only thing you need to do is to accept the license when it comes to your email. All right. We can only provision accounts if there are no other accounts associated with the instructor NetAcad email address. And you can check if you already have an account or delete a free WebEx account if you have requested it some time ago. You can visit the settings webex.com website, log in there, and proceed to delete your account following the instructions, which you can find here on this link. And the link will be available this link will be available in the slide deck, of course. The next topic, maybe also not too new, but just a reminder about continuing education credits. So these are now available for NetAcad. What are the continuous education credits? CE program. As part of the Cisco certification, there are different kinds of exams available, like the CCNA, CCNP, DevNet Associate, and many more. And once individual becomes certified, this certification, of course, as you know, is valid for 3 years. After 3 years, you need to renew the certification, and there is a way to do that. And the way is pretty standard. It's been there for years. You just need to retake the same exam, or you need to take another exam of a higher level, right? And that's the normal way to renew your certification. And about a year ago, another alternative way to recertify has been added into the program. And this is called continuing education credits. The idea is you collect these CE credits, and then you can use these CE credits to renew your existing certification. For example, to renew an associate level certification, you will need to spend 30 credits. To renew specialist certification, you will need to spend 40 credits, and so on. Now the question becomes, where do I get these credits, right? And the answer is very cool. The direct answer is it may be different kinds of activities. For example, it could be an authorized training in a learning partner from Cisco, or it could be participation in some hands-on workshop in a big Cisco event like Cisco Live, for example, which are not really happening at the moment. Everything is, of course, virtual because of COVID. And one good news, we were able, and we are really actually very proud about this. We were able to achieve that the NetAcad courses also provide CE credits to people who complete them. That works for instructors, that works for students as well. Once you complete one of these courses and match the eligibility criteria, you can receive that amount of credits, and then you can use these credits to renew your existing certification. Important point, you can only renew your existing certification using credits. You cannot buy a new certification, right? So it works only for extension. Regarding the eligibility criteria to receive C credits, they are the same as criteria for badging. And I will not go into details too much, but you will find out if needed. Yeah, then once you complete that, just a couple pieces of information how you can reclaim these C credits. You will need to go to c.cisco.com. This is the C portal. And on the C portal, there is the tab you need to go to, which says submit items. And you will need to complete this form in a certain way. You will need to select from the item name, you will need to select the name of the NetAcad course you completed. From provider, you will need to select Networking Academy. And from the training, you will need to select Networking Academy training. And then you put here the start date and end date of your course, of the course you have completed. And these dates should exactly match the dates on netacad.com. Once this is requested, you will immediately receive the confirmation of your submission, and within 2 weeks, you will also receive approval of these C credits or denial. All right, I hope this is clear. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in chat. Let's talk a little bit about the CyberOps Associate course. This is relatively new course, a new version of the course, and I will also never get tired of talking about it. Again, just as a quick recap, the idea of this course is mostly in these 4 words: monitor, detect, analyze, and respond to threats, to vulnerabilities and attacks. Right. So the idea of this course is we assume that our network, our information system is not secure, and we want to observe how it is being hacked, and we want to be able to detect these attacks, analyze them, understand how they go, and respond to them in a way of recommend some policy changes, or maybe even reporting to the cyber police or something like that. So this is the idea of the concept of cybersecurity operations, right? So that's what operation is about. It is a full semester, 70 hours course. It is only instructor-led. Students cannot take this course by themselves. All the learning components are there, including content, including PowerPoints, including labs and packet tracer activities. And of course, all the exams are also available over there. Instructor training for this course is required, and I will tell a little bit more details about that. CyberOps Associate is evolution of our previous version of kind of similar course, CCNA CyberOps. You can consider this as version 0, I don't know. CCNA CyberOps has evolved into CyberOps Associate course, and together with this course, the scope has changed a little bit, the content was updated, but also the lab requirements have changed. In CCNA CyberOps, it was required to have 4 virtual machines, and in CyberOps Associate, you are only required to use 2 virtual machines, and these 2 virtual machines are Security Onion VM and CyberOps VM. So there's basically a client and a security, how can I say that? Security Onion is an integrated security machine. Yeah. And these 2 virtual machines, they are much lighter to run compared to CCNA CyberOps. So Security Onion is, of course, still a big big distribution. It requires a lot of RAM to run, but at least you do not need to run 2 extra virtual machines compared to CCNA CyberOps course. All right, and as I promised, I will say also a couple things about the instructor training for this course, because instructor training for this course is available in multiple different ways. There is a classic option 1, which is really recommended for novice instructors and instructors who did not have much experience in cybersecurity field. It is a classic instructor training center based training, right? You go to an ITC, you take this training, and then you also sit there for proctored final exams. Once you complete that successfully, you receive accreditation to teach, certificate of course completion, letter of merit with, if you have a special achievement, a learning badge, and certification voucher. And one more thing, CE credits, right? Because you also receive CE credits in this case. Yeah, but there is also option 2. Option 2 is recommended for more experienced instructors who already know NetAcad, maybe teach at least some cybersecurity essentials courses, and generally feel more confident. It is possible for instructors to self-study the course content through our online self-paced instructor training course, and you can enroll into this course using a link in the course resources page. Right, so and during this self-paced training, you just read the course materials, you complete all the labs, you complete the module exams in the course, and there is also a practice exam in the end of this self-paced course, but this is only practice exam. Completion of the self-paced course does not give you the accreditation to teach students. And after this is done, you have 2 ways to go. You have option 2A, you just go to the instructor training center, maybe kind of the same instructor training center as in option 1, and you tell them, hey, I already know all the course, I only need to take the final exam. And instructor training centers are free to offer these final exams. Of course, as training may require some fee, final exam will also require some fee probably. It probably will be cheaper than the full training, I would assume so. But anyway, you can expect some fee to be required. And once you complete that, you get opportunity to obtain accreditation to teach, certification of course completion, letter of merit, but there will be no certification voucher. Okay, so certification voucher is not an option in this case. I think you also get the CE credits in this case. I think so. And there is also option 2B for accreditation. You complete the self-paced training course and you go to Pearson Certification Center and you take the CyberOps Associate Industry Certification. In this case, you only achieve accreditation to teach without any certificates, without any letters, badges, or CE credits. So that's the idea of this training setup. Let's talk a little bit about another course, which is DevNet Associate. Also a very new course and very well received. The idea of this course is to dig a little deeper into the world of infrastructure automation and bring together these 3 worlds of networking people, cybersecurity people, and infrastructure automation people, developers, right? Bring them a little bit together to build the IT team of the future. Because networks really need to be configured and managed in new ways right now. The DevNet Associate course introduces the methodologies and tools of modern software development applied to the IT and network operations. So it is a course kind of about software development, but not really. It's more in application of, okay, how we can code something to manage IT infrastructure to manage our network, right? It is a full semester, 70 hours course. It is only instructor-led. Again, students cannot take this course by themselves. All the content is there, including online course materials, PowerPoints, quizzes, module exams, final exams, and so on and so on. And again, instructor training for this course is also required. Let's take a little bit closer look at this course. Lab equipment is actually quite interesting. In this course, we use 2 virtual machines. So no really any equipment required for this course, no physical equipment at least. And we use 2 virtual machines in this course. One of them is Cisco CSR 1000V virtual machine, and you have a screenshot of it over here. It is basically a Cisco router, virtualized Cisco router, which runs iOS XE operating system. And there are some set of labs in the course which are based on communicating through some API interfaces with this Cisco router. And another virtual machine is DevNet Associate Lab VM. And here you see the screenshot of it. And this is basically a virtual machine which we have put together for this course. The idea is we just packaged into one virtual machine all the tools which students need to study through this course. Some details about this, if you look over here, like NetAcad, the Net Associate VM, it has a multitude of tools like Python, some Python modules, Visual Studio Code, Postman, curl, Chromium, Docker, Ansible, and an API simulator, packet tracer. Everything is included, everything is packaged inside this virtual machine. It is a really nice solution because it gives very big benefits. Alternatively, we could write super long instructions for students and for instructors. You need to download all these tools. You need to install them. You need to configure them in a little bit specific way, maybe in some cases. So all this is not needed. Everything is already pre-installed. It is preset. You just grab the virtual machine, deploy it on a computer, and then you just run it with an additional benefit of having the possibility to make snapshots. So when you run a virtual machine, you make a snapshot, and then you do a lab. If something goes wrong, you can always just revert into the initial state in just a few seconds. All right, and instructor training options for CyberOps Associate, it is exactly the same as for DevNet. Actually, you see, I have even used the same slide, which says CyberOps and DevNet. I should say also Associate instructor training option. So there is option 1 for new instructors. It's a classic training in an ITC. And there is option 2 with online self-paced instructor training, and 2 options for accreditation. All right, IT Essentials update. We are coming into also some very interesting stuff, and IT Essentials, even of the current version 7, is not a new course, but we have an extremely good news that IT Essentials 701 is now available in Hungarian, right? So when you already go to create new course, you select from the drop-down list, you see the Hungarian language listed here for IT Essentials version 7. And because of that, I just wanted to use this opportunity to also make a quick reminder about what is new in IT Essentials 7 course. The key changes, the key improvements in version 7 are around assessments. We have topical self-assessments included in the course. We have increased certification level practice opportunities. And overall, there are more assessments, more quizzes, more self-reflection throughout the course. The course is more practical, more hands-on. We have designed this course with active learning in mind, with more opportunities to increase mastery, with hands-on and experiences, reflection, and collaboration. And it is also more interactive. We reduced the amount of text in the course. We have increased the amount of videos. There are more interactive activities and more opportunities for instructor and student feedback. Regarding the assessments, as I said, there are more assessments in the course. There are self-assessments, which are typically used more for formative, in a formative way. Topics assessments throughout the curriculum, and there are 14 Quizlets and 14 chapter quizzes. And there are instructor-activated assessments, which include pre-test exam, 14 chapter exams, 2 practice final exams, and 2 course final exams. Why are there 2 course final exams? Because the course is actually comprised of kind of 2 parts, right? And once you complete the first part, you are ready to take the final exam number 1. And for some learners, this may be enough, right? It's also aligned with the certification. But once you complete the second final exam, you can take the second part of the course, you can take the second final exam. If you do not split the course in 2 parts, this is also totally fine, because we also have this comprehensive final exam. And this is just one big final exam which covers all course content. All right, speaking of the course content, I just wanted to give a little bit of comparison between the chapter structure of IT version 7 and IT version 6. In the previous version, IT version 6, we had 14 modules. IT 7 also has 14 modules, but there are some changes. Let's take a look at these changes. So first of all, you see that the content of the first 3 modules was a little bit rearranged. I will not go into details, but it's just changed a little bit. The way the content is presented is changed. For example, the content from chapter 2, which is all about lab safety mostly, it was dissipated across chapter 1 and chapter 2. There is no dedicated chapter for lab safety anymore. Chapter 4 is pretty much the same as it was, and what should I say? Yeah, regarding the rest, you can see that in the first part, in the earlier part, of course, you have networking. There are 2 chapters on networking concepts and applied networking. Right? So here you learn a little bit of theory, and here you learn more about application of networking knowledge and skills. There is a chapter on laptops and other mobile devices, and chapter on printers. And there is also a new chapter, chapter 9, which is on virtualization and cloud computing, right? So a full chapter added for virtualization and cloud computing. And then chapters 10 and 11, these chapters are on Windows operating system. First, you learn how to install Windows, and then you learn how to configure it. Chapter 12 is on other operating systems, including mobile, Linux, and OS X. And there is also security and IT professional. And chapter 16 of IT6 was mostly removed, but some of these troubleshooting concepts, they are really taught also in some of the chapters of IT Essentials 7. So that's the structure of the new course for you. You can see, like, let's say, more hardware stuff is coming in the beginning of the course, and more software stuff, virtualization, operating systems, it comes more to the end of the course. That's more or less the feeling I have about this structure. This is the course outline for your reference. So I will not go over this, of course, but Just once you get a hold of the slides, you can read through the goals and objectives of the course. And over here, you actually can see this divide, right? So there are 9 chapters in part 1. And remember, I said there is a final exam number 1 in the end of this. And there are 5 more chapters in part 2. And there is final exam number 2 in the end of that. Or 1 comprehensive final exam covering all the course. Some new stuff which was just introduced in IT Essentials 7, some new technology in terms of hardware. Just look quickly through this list. If you scan, you will see definitely some new, very recent technology, which really updates this course to the latest tech available. There is USB-C, there is synchronization with cars, SSO, mobile environment. There are IoT protocols like RFID, Zigbee, and some others. Wireless mesh networks, QR scanners, VR headsets. Of course, not in very deep detail, right? That's not the point of IT Essentials course, but there is some content on all of these things, as well as some of the software. Courses based on Windows 10, but also 7, 8, and 8.1 support remain in the course. Chrome OS is also covered in the course a little bit, and some other things, right? Like Radius, authentication, TechX, different types of attacks, and on and on and on, and also remote access, scripting basics, but only very basics. Just to give you an idea of what's new in the course. All right, and moving on to CCNA 702 overview, and this will be pretty large section, and this is very recent and very new. So unless you attended any of the IPD sessions we have done this week, maybe you don't know too many details about CCNA 702. I will give you some. First of all, regarding CCNA 702, we have done a special deep dive session as part of IPD week. It was done even a couple of weeks ago on February 4th. And you can see that over there we have done a pretty good overview of all the changes in the course, all the changes in the updated version. And you can definitely watch the recording of this session, which you can find in the IPD week course. Our vision in Networking Academy towards distance learning is we want to provide flexibility and choice for teaching and learning in any environment. This environment can be online, on-premise, or hybrid, with optimal quality and effective outcomes. So that's our vision, how we see distance learning. And we also put the principles of the learning science into the foundation of the development we do. And learning science has always been there. NetAcad is well positioned to offer distance learning now and in the future. And we, of course, keep students and instructors at the center of all the developments we make. For distance learning, we have designed the set of labs in CCNA 702, and this update to the course is mostly about better support for distance learning. And Packet Tracer 8 goes hand in hand with CCNA 702. So this is really, these two products, they come together and they support each other. There are new features in Packet Tracer 8, new support for simulation, which supports labs in CCNA 7, and labs in CCNA 7 were designed to be run on Packet Tracer 8, and they require Packet Tracer 8. Just a couple words about Packet Tracer 8 enhanced physical mode, and we will definitely go deeper into that. There is a shelf, there are cables, you can rack and stack devices, you can cable devices to the port, view devices from the back and from the front. Cables now dangle from the rack. and cables can be managed. But this is not all about updates for the packet tracer. We also have improved the wireless range display. We also improved the instructions, activity instructions window, and we have brought the whole PTNA packet tracer for network automation into the packet tracer 8. We will go more into details of that in the next hour, but for now, let's talk more about the, and there was a special session on Packet Tracer 8. I have to mention that, sorry. There was a special session for Packet Tracer 8, I think just 2 days ago, and recording is now available in the IPD course. If you're interested about PTNA network controllers in Packet Tracer, I also recommend the special IPD session, which we have done in December. It just happens that I did both of these sessions, so you will hear and see me in all of these recordings. But of course, there is also a lot of sessions done by other technical managers and guest speakers in IPD week. Let's speak more about the why, right? What is our purpose? What is our focus with this CCNA 702 update? We want to support distance learning, and in this first set of updates to CCNA courses, we focused on offsetting the gap created by lack of access to equipment. Of course, most schools are still limited. They cannot really fully let students into the labs and make students work with their real equipment sitting in their labs. We want to provide support to practice the skills presented in the physical in-person lab experience. We want to minimize the disruption to the current experience. And this is not related directly to the equipment access challenges, but we just wanted to make a bit some changes to update the CCNA course template based on the customer feedback. With all these changes, with all these new exciting packet tracer features to support remote learning, it is really important to remember that equipment is still required for CCNA. Right? And no simulator can replace real experience, real device experience. So let's go over what's new with the CCNA 702. It is aligned with the release of the new Packet Tracer 8, and Packet Tracer 8 is required for all Packet Tracer activities in CCNA 702. So if you, we have added some new activities into the course, which are specifically designed for some closer to physical actions. But even those activities which are old, they also required Packet Tracer 8 because in a way, all of the labs being touched by PT8. We added videos for navigating and downloading Packet Tracer to each CCNA course in introduction module. And we have also added a video and example Packet Tracer activity to introduce physical mode to the learner. New Packet Tracer physical mode activities, or you can also see this abbreviation PTPM. We also can call it enhanced physical mode. This activity is added directly onto the corresponding lab page. And let me explain this a little bit in detail. So this is a lab page. In this specific lab, you build a switch and router network. So this green button is a link to the PDF with lab instructions for the real equipment-based lab. We have added this red block here with 2 additional buttons for Packet Tracer physical mode. Right, one button will download a PDF with instructions, and another button will download the PKA file, Packet Tracer file itself. The content of this Packet Tracer activity is made as much as possible close to the scenario of the real equipment-based lab. It is as much, it can never be the same, but it is as much as possible. as close as possible, right? Please also know that not every lab has a corresponding packet tracer activity. Some labs, they cannot be done in packet tracer still. We added to these labs to offset the gap created by lack of access to equipment, obviously, and packet tracer 8 is required, and inside this lab, logical view in packet tracer is locked, and students, they cannot actually see the network topology as they build a network in packet tracer. PTPM activities reinforce critical skills such as device placement, racking and stacking, switching on device power. So once you put the device here, you click the button to power it on, build from logical topology diagram, device port-to-port cabling, and this also includes cable choice. It is required to console into a device and configure device through the console. Also, it is required to read link lights in physical mode on devices. What is the port status? What is the STP status of the port? And of course, there is also some possibility for troubleshooting cabling. So if they use a wrong cable, they will have things not working, and they will need to troubleshoot. All this operates in physical mode only. Logical mode is locked. And there is also another type of scenario which were added into CCNA 702. They are exploration type of scenario. What is exploration? Exploration, students open a packet tracer file, and there is normally a large network built. And their task in this lab is to explore this large network, understand how this network is physically built, and maybe also do some expansion of this network, something small, right? And these exploration scenarios are quite large. I can tell you that I've seen these scenarios with over 100 devices in one packet tracer file. They also quite often use custom graphics, and that's why they require 64-bit packet tracer 8 because of and also they work a little bit slower. You will notice that when you open them, and even on a powerful computer, it may take some seconds to open these activities. On my computer, I think it takes like maybe up to a minute, maybe even more than 1 minute to open a packet tracer file. But it really depends on your system. I'm using a laptop. It's not the most powerful laptop, right? Okay, so we have added also an additional packet tracer skills assessment to support testing of the skills learned in the course. We have updated instructor PowerPoints to include new activities. We have also addressed lab or packet tracer errata, errors submitted through the support desk. And please continue submit these errors if you find any. We're definitely fixing them as we go. Resources for this course are also published. So this gives you two benefits, right? First of all, as usual, all the PowerPoints, everything is supplied and available for CCNA 702. But even if you keep teaching CCNA 7 without moving to the new course version, you can still benefit partially from these new labs, because you can go to resources and you can download a zip file with all these packet tracer activities. I'm not sure specifically which file that is. Instructor packet tracer source files. I think this one. This should be the activity, but you will find it anyway. So if you're even teaching an older version of CCNA, you can still use these activities with your students just by downloading them and distributing to students. We also have updated Networking Academy, we also have updated scope and sequence document for CCNA courses to reflect these changes and improvements. And just for your reference, this is the full list of these new activities which we have added into the course. So everything which has PTPM under the activity, these are the new enhanced physical mode activities for Packet Tracer 8. We also have a bunch of them in the SRWE course, and we have also a few of them in the ENSA course. We have also updated CCNA 702 course template. One important thing that to teach CCNA 702 class, instructors must create a new class, right? There is no option to migrate to this new updated course template from your existing CCNA 7 or any other, right? Once you create a new course, you just select this 702, and we suggest you to create a new CCNA class and enroll your students in there. It really depends, up to you if you want to migrate right away. So you will have to re-enroll your students into a newer class if you already have some active. And maybe you will, also need to move some grades into this new class. Yeah, but as I said already, there is always this option to download the zip file and distribute labs to the students. But in this case, please note, the new final PTSA exam will not be included in your learning process because it is only available from within the new updated course template. Some other updates to the course template. First of all, we have added this system test exam, and system test exam is just a testing exam to make sure students can access the assessment system and they understand different kinds of questions on the exam. And these questions, they also include packet tracer activity or PTSA part. We also have created sections for each module group with direct link to the course content. Before, there was only one link to the beginning of the content. Now everything is split into these module groups, and within module group, you always have a link to the first module of this group. So for example, this link will be to module 3, and in the next module, the link will be to module, this should be 1, right? Because it's a beginning. And here the link will be to module 4, and so on and so on and so on. Right, so it gives instructors opportunity to, for example, add something in between the modules, right? So you have the next module here. You can add some content in between the modules or inside the module, doesn't matter. All right, yeah, and PTSA, practice exams. Changes here regarding practice exams. This one, practice final exam, was always there. So this is the theoretical practice exam. This is clear, right? We also always had an packet tracer skills assessment there. And this packet tracer skills assessment is now here under practice exam. So we kind of repurposed the PTSA as a practice exam. Why? Because now we have new and much better PTSA, which is built on the new Packet Tracer 8 functionality. It's over here. So this one, the new one. And now this PTSA serves the purpose of the practical Packet Tracer based skills assessment. This one here is the skills assessment designed to be done on the real equipment. And it remains the same as it was. So these are the changes. So this is added, completely new, and this exam kind of pushed the PTSA into practice exams. Of course, it's still up to you how to use them. You can move them between modules. You can rearrange weights for the gradebook the way you want. Yeah, but that's kind of the original design. And of course, there is a final exam. Final exam was not changed, and this is the theoretical final exam. Okay, and finally, how are you doing on time? Perfectly doing on time. Instructor professional development. Of course, this week is the IPD week, and I must talk about instructor professional development, what we do. IPD week is a quarterly program we offer to NetAcad instructors for free, and its goal to offer professional development through free 1-hour virtual online sessions. We do these sessions on a variety of technical topics. We want to keep our instructors up to date on the latest technology. We prepare and deliver some of these technical sessions ourselves, technical managers of my team, but we of course also have all kinds of guest speakers in IPD week who are sometimes Cisco engineers, professionals from the industry. In many cases, they are also instructors from NetAcad from different countries who share their experience, share their best practices. We also offer program update sessions from all around Networking Academy. And program updates are really all collection of all the news around NetAcad. We have quite a positive feedback from instructors who join IPD sessions, and many instructors really join regularly. But one problem here is not all instructors are joining IPD sessions. We have in the program more instructors than we have instructors participating in the IPD sessions. We just see it by the numbers. There are just a few people who we miss in every IPD session. One of them may be you. So please make sure you join our sessions live or recorded. To access the sessions and IPD class, you will need to go to the top menu on NetAcad, click Resources, select Instructor Professional Development. On this page, select Join, IPD Week page. And from IPD Week page, you will be able to access this IPD class. And inside the IPD class, you can navigate through the sessions over here for English. And maybe if you're also interested about some other languages, they are available here. We do not and never had, as far as I remember, sessions in Hungarian in IPD week. But if some of you want to create session in Hungarian and bring it in, we would welcome that. Okay, and speaking about this specific IPD week, today is February 26th, right? And this is the last day of IPD week. Most of the sessions are already done. All the English sessions are done. You can watch all the sessions as recorded. You can also access the IPD week course using this short link, cs.co/IPD21. And we had sessions, some of them you have seen already, mentioned on the previous slide. Special session on CCNA 702, a special session on Packet Tracer 8. These were done, but apart from that, we also had a deep dive into HTTP protocol. We had a couple of very cool sessions on automation of network infrastructure as code, and streaming telemetry for network infrastructure. There is also the NetAcad Wizard series, and in this NetAcad Wizard series, we answer to most frequent questions or challenging situations instructors face when they use NetAcad. There was a session on LMS, data privacy. We had a session series on Ansible, and more and more and more. And of course, this is just the February IPD week. We also have recordings available from previous IPD weeks as well. All right, that's been a lot of talking. I hope you have learned something new. I totally understand that For many of you, you know most of this news, but the idea of this session is to really make sure you have all the latest and most important information, and you have the full picture of what's going on in the Networking Academy. Okay, so I will now check the chat in case there are any questions which were asked in the chat. I will just, or you can also unmute yourself and ask a question verbally. Okay, and it is also an option to ask your question in Hungarian, and Akos, I think, should be able to help with translation, right, Akos?
Yes, that's definitely. Ha valakinek esetleg van magyarul kérdése, akkor szívesen lefordítom, ha nem akar ezzel vesződni.
It seems like everyone is just waiting for the Packet Tracer 8 session, right?
It could be the case. Everyone is so excited.
All right, so we are kind of really good. We are doing very well on time. So I will continue if you don't mind. You can lean back, enjoy, and just watch me presenting about the next topic, right? The next topic, we will talk about Packet Tracer 8, and obviously we will focus on the enhanced physical mode. The agenda or plan for this next hour, this is again 1 hour session. I want to talk a little bit about the Networking Academy distance learning vision. And then we will go over the new Packet Tracer 8 features and improvements. We will talk about the new wireless display. We will talk about Packet Tracer for network automation. There are some accessibility enhancements and miscellaneous updates. And of course, in the end, because everything best comes in the end, we have the new enhanced physical mode. And also I will reference a little bit for the CCNA activities. Right? So let's get started. You have seen this slide just a moment ago, but I will repeat again. Our distance learning vision is to provide flexibility and choice for teaching and learning in any environment, online environment, on-premise environment, or hybrid, with optimal quality and effective outcomes. And Packet Tracer 8 physical mode is one of these contributions to this vision. Packet Tracer 8 enhanced physical mode supports shelf and pegboard to store devices and cables. The activity includes moving equipment from shelf to rack or table. You need to do cabling to the port. We support front and rear view, dangling cables, and cable management. Apart from the wire and closet experience, we also have some other improvements. We have color grid for wireless display. We have new activity instructions window. We have integrated the PTNA features into the main version of Packet Tracer, and we also have many other improvements. And we will start to go in details with this new set of splash screens. Once you install PT8 and you will start launching the application or opening activities, you will see that Packet Tracer shows a different splash screen on every launch. And the idea of these splash screens is actually to promote rich Packet Tracer functions, because there are so many different functions in Packet Tracer, not too many people know about them. It is all about, not just about creating and configuring your own networks, but it's also about the physical mode. It's also about network controller. It's also about using simulation mode to observe how packets are running through the network. Multi-user feature. If you're not aware about multi-user, you can use multi-user to connect together packet tracer instances on different physical computers. And there is, of course, also the IoT simulation in packet tracer and programming. So these splash screens are to promote these exciting features. Now, activity instructions. Activity instructions window was improved drastically. Now, activity instructions window is dockable, which means you can dock it, so you can kind of stick it into the main window of packet tracer, or you can have it as a separate window. It layouts multiple instruction pages into tabs, right? So you can make it look like that. So there are, in this case, on this screenshot, you see there are 3 separate tabs. There is a tab for topology, there is tab for addressing table, and there is tab for tasks. And this feature can be used to split just a long document into these separate parts. You can select horizontal or vertical layout, and also pages can be grouped together into tabs. One also very important thing regarding tabs, that there is independent zoom and scroll in each of these tabs. So you can zoom in here in this tab and scroll independently, which is very good. So because you can kind of see the full topology you want, you can see a specific place in the addressing table, and you can see a specific place in the textual instructions all at the same time. And as I said already in the beginning, it can be undocked and used on in a separate window. If you have a second screen, for example, it is still possible to undock the instructions from the main PT window and just bring it to a second screen. Or if you have a big screen, this would also be probably helpful. At the moment, unfortunately, I do not have a second screen, so I have only small laptop screen. And I will also use the same for demos later on. Of course, with this update to the instructions window, we had to also update a little bit let's say the backend of instructions. Because all the instructions are written in the activity wizard when the activity is created and authored. And first thing we did, we have added the new rich text editor. So this tab here, you see it's rich text. Before that, you had to write in plain HTML and then only preview how it looks. Now it's possible just to use rich text editor. Pages can be set to show as tabs if you check this box. So what does it mean? In Packet Tracer, you could have multiple pages of instructors ever. You could, years ago, I cannot remember when this was a new feature, but I think it was there forever. Over here, you see that these specific instructions consist of 3 pages, and you can use these buttons to switch between the 3 pages. The original idea of these instruction pages was that you kind of have some instructions on one page, you complete that, you click next, the student clicks next, and then there is second page with the second step of instructions, right? So this was the original idea. I've seen it been using in some of the labs, but to be honest, not too much. Vast majority of labs were just using one single page. And with this checkbox, now what can be done, these separate pages can be treated as tabs and being displayed in this way. So this is actually page 1, this is page 2, and this is page 3. And these pages can be shown at the same time, and this is much more convenient, right? This is very handy. Also, there is an option to choose for horizontal or vertical layout, as it's shown over here. And also there is a possibility to add user notes, right? User notes are also possible. So students can make any kind of notes when they complete the lab. I will also show this a little, hopefully in a small demo a little bit later on. So this is for user notes. And user notes can be shown, and students can make any notes when they complete their lab in this block. So this just can be enabled, and notes are saved within the PKA file. So one use case could be you just enable that, and in the instructions you require or you ask students, please explain something. Explain how you did that. And when students complete the lab, they need to put this explanation into the notes section. Then they save the PKA file, send it to you as an instructor, and then you can see, of course, their notes as well as their complete lab. Okay? You can also modify and customize activities. On the past couple slides, I've been showing Activity Wizard, right? And just a reminder, although it is absolutely totally fine if you don't care about modifying any activities, you just use the course. There is a huge number of labs and packet tracer activities pre-built. You just can use that. This is totally fine, but you can also modify them, you can customize them, you can create your own activities from scratch. So for modification and customizations, you will need to use the password for Activity Wizard, and you can find this activity password in community forums on netacad.com. Another feature is improved wireless display. And for the wireless display, we have implemented colored gradient instead of grid. If you remember before that, packet tracer was drawing a circle around, and it could be a dashed circle, which was okay, but didn't look too nice, to be honest. And now it looks like more like a gradient. Like still like a circle, but more like a gradient. And within and when you move, for example, this specific lab, when you move the source of the signal, the gradient kind of also moves with it. It looks pretty nice. Different colors are used for different types of wireless signals. Green is for the cellular network, and purple is used for Wi-Fi. Wireless range is rendered and shown across containers. So for example, over here you see there is a building, there are some access points inside the building, and you see how these access points actually exposed to the outside as well. So you can actually bring a smartphone here and actually connect to this Wi-Fi from the outside. This wireless display is only supported or only rendered on concentrator devices. It is not rendered on end devices. There was a question the other day about what color is Bluetooth. I have not checked it honestly, but I think Bluetooth is not rendered, because in Bluetooth you do not have a concentrator device, right? All Bluetooth devices, they are end devices, because it's always peer-to-peer communication. So I would assume Bluetooth does not have any range. Just a quick note about these specific screenshots to don't get you confused. In this lab where I took screenshots from, custom icons are used for this activity. All right. And the next thing is packet tracer for network automation. First of all, I must make note that this feature, PTNA, is not really new. This feature was previously already available. but it was only available in the special version of Packet Tracer, which was included in the DevNet Associate course virtual machine. You remember in the previous hour, I was talking about this virtual machine for DevNet Associate, which has all the software installed. So Packet Tracer special version with PTNA is part of that. So this is not fully new. However, there are some improvements. What is the idea? PTNA. PTNA serves to simulate a controller-based network management. Basically, you add into your network a network controller device, and then this network controller device has all other network devices registered with it, and it implements a centralized control over the network. It can check network status, it can collect some data from devices, and it can also change policies and make configurations network-wide. In PTNA, in Packet Tracer, we have support for user and password management. We have provisioning and device discovery, this thing over here. So device discovery. So basically, there is a procedure you can run on the network controller, provided some data, some credentials, and it will scan the network and find devices and register these devices with itself. There is network assurance with a possibility to display the list of hosts on the network, the list of network devices, show render network topology, and also do path trace. And there is also support for some policy configuration across network. Services of quality of service, AAA, DNS, NetFlow, NTP, and syslog, as it's shown here on the screenshot, they can be configured. Again, if you're interested about PTNA, I think I have a slide. No, I don't. Or maybe I do. There is a separate special session on PTNA, which is recorded and available. Network controller in Packet Tracer supports GUI-based configuration, right? So the idea is you just use your web browser, you access the network controller, and you can see a dashboard with all the controls. You can just click, point, and do all the necessary configuration. But it supports two ways of this GUI-based configuration. First of all, you can see these two screenshots, right? They look very similar. Why do I have two very similar screenshots in the slide deck? Because it proves the very important concept that this first one is the fake and simulated Packet Tracer browser. So this is a web browser on the simulated PC inside Packet Tracer. And this is Google Chrome, which I'm running on my computer. This is a real PC browser, and you can actually access from the real computer into the Packet Tracer, into the network controller, and also have the same experience with configurations. And by the way, this specific part is totally new for Packet Tracer 8. It was not even available in the special version of Packet Tracer inside DevNet Associate VM. So you can configure using GUI, but you can also configure this controller and manage your network through an API. API-based configuration is also supported. How it works? You just need to write some script, and probably in Python, and then communicate from the script with this server using the REST API interface. And this can be done again in two different ways. There is an API-based configuration within Packet Tracer. So this code is actually running on this simulated computer, right? You just write this code on the computer in the programming tab, You run this code. The run button is here. It is also the stop button. And then you see the result. So you see this output here. It's 201, successful request, everything works. And there is also API-based configuration support from real PC. And on this screenshot, you see my idle Python programming environment on the real computer. I also write actually the same code. It is the very same code, except for specific access parameters. Right here, you just use 10.1.1.2, I think. This is the IP address of this device inside Packet Tracer. And here you use the local host with a certain port number where this interface is exposed. Apart from this, that changes, it is the same code. And once you run it, you also get the same kind of 201 result. Everything works the same way. That gives a lot of possibilities. This real network access should be enabled, and there are two ways to do that. On the first launch of a Packet Tracer file that uses PTNA, you will see a window like that. Would you allow external network access? And you will have to say yes to make it work. Or later on, or at some point in Packet Tracer settings under miscellaneous external network access, you will need to check this box. And for your reference, this first box is more for IoT devices, for smart devices. Okay, good. And again, one more time, I will mention that there was a full session dedicated to Packet Tracer for network automation back in December. And recording is available for this session. And yeah, so you can always watch it. And that session was mostly demonstration. I think I had like 4 or 5 slides, and that's it. All the rest of this 1-hour session was just a demo. So take a look at it. Some updates on accessibility. We have implemented new default color scheme for high contrast support to make Packet Tracer more usable for all users. Also, PC desktop applets adhere to this high contrast theme. We'll also have better overall tab order and better overall screen reader support. On miscellaneous updates, one more thing which is now added in Packet Tracer is under settings, preferences, administration. You have these Packet Tracer skills assessments with the register button. It is needed when your PTSA does not work. This may happen sometimes, rarely, when you have multiple copies of multiple different versions of Packet Tracer installed on a computer. And if you launch PTSA and it doesn't work, you probably the issue is that PTSA engine tries to run a wrong version of Packet Tracer. To make sure the correct version of Packet Tracer is associated with the PTSA engine, you can just go to settings and just click this register button. We also have better keyboard and mouse interactions in Rec View. IoT devices now use wireless interface by default. It used to be wired. Now IoT devices are wireless by default. This only affects the new IoT devices you bring on the workspace. If you already have something built on the workspace with the wired interfaces of the IoT devices, this will remain the same. So only new devices are becoming wireless. And iOS 15 supported devices now use iOS 15 by default. That mostly affects the 2960 switch. 2960 switch for a long time used to have iOS 12 by default. it was possible to upgrade to iOS 15, but some actions were needed to do that. Now 2960 comes with iOS 15 by default, but iOS 12 version was put under the miscellaneous menu in the device selection box. There are some improvements for menus on Mac, and there are some bug fixes for IPv6, Ethernet ports, and grading. Especially on IPv6, I've received some reports. If you have seen some IPv6 simulation inconsistencies, try the new version of Packet Tracer. Hopefully they were fixed. One also kind of announcement, and this is a full announcement which was posted on netacad.com about possible activity misuse by students. There was a possibility identified for students to tamper with Packet Tracer activity results. Student can use some external tools which manipulate computer runtime memory for Packet Tracer to alter grading engine results and change their score, and that only displays on their local computer. Okay, this is something you know. When I was a kid, we used to use some software. I don't remember, Memory Gold or something like that, to get God mode in games, right? Or infinite money in a game. You just run an application, and this application mingles with a running game, and it just finds a certain value there, and it changes this value. So something like that is always possible with any application, right? We will try to make Packet Tracer more resistant to that. There is no way an application can be made absolutely invulnerable, but we will be trying to make it more resistant. But for now, please make remember that this only affects the score displayed on this computer. This change is not saved in the file and therefore does not impact the result the instructors see when they open the file on their computer. Right? We strictly prohibit educational cheating in Cisco Networking Academy, whether or not a technical issue exists. We count on our partnership with instructors to assure the validity of assessments, and we provide this mitigation guidance. First of all, always proctor the skills-based assessment done with Packet Tracer. It has to be proctored exam. You need to observe students. For PKA assignments, always collect the final files, open these files, and validate submissions separately on your own instructor's computer. For PTSA submissions, verify the quality of students' work products using the command logs and final device configuration. And never use just one vector of evidence to assess a student's competencies. All right, I hope this is clear, and let us move on to the bigger part. This is enhanced physical mode for Packet Tracer 8. Let's go more into details finally on what is there in PT8. First of all, there is shelf pegboard added for storage. This is shelf and this is the pegboard. Pegboard is something like this, right? So it's a wall with holes and some pegs, some hooks to put cables into. That allows us to implement inventory system. So for an activity, it could be made that inside this shelf, we have some boxes just stored. It is also very important to note that these shelf and pegboard are used for storage, which means when your box is here, no power can be turned on and no cabling can be connected to these devices, right? then the activity is actually to grab these devices and to bring them into the rack or onto the table or even under the table. There is a usable space on and under the table. And you basically drag and drop devices there. While you do that, in this lab, it is possible in Activity Wizard to unlock the network component box. Network component box is the box to select components here you see at the bottom, right? So these can be disabled and students have to work with what is provided to them on the shelf. And it could be done and also on the pegboard. And it could be done in different ways, right? So it could be just the equipment they need for the lab and just a couple cables they need for the lab, or it could also have some extra equipment which is not really needed and some extra cables which are not really needed for this specific lab scenario. And part of the student learning experience becomes they need to select the correct device and need to select the correct cable and use these devices to build their network topology. So that's what racking and stacking is about. Now, regarding patch cabling, as I said already, pegboard is used to store cables, and cables obviously cannot be used in any way while they are on pegboard. Cabling should be done in the similar drag and drop way. So you grab a cable from the pegboard and you do cabling to the port. In the previous version of Packet Tracer, when you connected cables in the physical workspace, you click somewhere on a device, somewhere, anywhere, and a pop-up menu appears and it shows you where do you want to connect this port, this port, this port, this port. And you can just select the port. So this is not available anymore, or it can be locked in Packet Tracer for the new physical experience. Students need to click exactly on the port they want to connect the cable to. In order to make it easier, we have implemented closer zoom for devices, and this kind of really displays devices very well and makes cable connection quite convenient and easy. You just need to know where to put it. We also implemented dangling cables, and this is probably the most visual part of PT8 update. You can see cables dangling in between devices, in the rack, and between rack and table as well. We also have implemented the cable conduit. This thing here is a cable conduit, and cable conduit is used to simulate cables which go outside of the wire enclosure, right? So it's like, yeah, we will talk about more about that. We have also implemented device rear view and ability to connect on the ports on the back of the device. In this case, we have a 2960 switch. We look at it from the back and we connect the console cable. Let's talk a little bit more about the cable management. Cable management. When you connect cables in PT8, the default state of cables is unmanaged. And this is what it is, right? This is unmanaged cables. You just have them hanging somehow between the devices and everywhere, right? But you can manage cables. What does it mean? In the real life, it looks like that. So you actually remove these loops of cables, and cables are done in a way that it comes from here. There's maybe a loop somewhere down below, and then it pops up here. And similarly in Packet Tracer, the cable goes from here, and then it goes to the side stake of the rack, and then it returns back, and then pops out here. And so actually, this part is completely invisible, right? you only see the how can I say that, the ends of the cable, right, with connectors. So here you see from the server, and here it's a bit small, but you see from the switch. And you can manage individual cables. Just right click on a cable and tell Packet Tracer manage it, and it will be just kind of made invisible. What Packet Tracer actually does, it simply makes cables invisible. That's it. This is the best simulator can do, right? Or you can manage a rack, or you can even manage the whole wiring closet, right? There is option to manage all cables in wiring closet. Unmanaged cables dangle, and cables between table and rack cannot be managed, and they will always dangle. So even here in the managed state, you see this cable between the switch and the computer, they still remain. There is nowhere to remove the cable. Right, so this is very cool. This is really improved simulation of dangling cables and cable management. Still, it is not exactly the same as the physical experience, because in Packet Tracer, you can manage a huge wiring closet with a lot of cables with just a couple of mouse clicks, right? Manage all cables in main wiring closet. I wish that something like that could be done in real rack, in real wiring closet. In reality, this work takes hours and sometimes days. And there are people who have jobs and they full-time do just that. They just manage cables in racks. Again, kind of an argument to the point of simulator can never fully represent the reality. Yeah, and this is again how it looks. You can, in just one mouse click, you can from this you can get to this, right? So this is unmanaged, and this is managed cables, right? The only cable you see here is a console between the computer, the laptop, and one of the servers, right? So it's quite easy. Okay, so I'm ready to jump into my first demo. I think I will have 3 demos to show today. We are doing moderately well on time. So let me jump into that. Do I have it running already? No. I will open this Packet Tracer lab. And this is just one of the labs from the course. This is 292, Basic Switch and End Device Configuration Lab. You've seen this splash screen of Packet Tracer? Good. Yeah, so, and this is the lab. Of course, by scenario, it is a very simple lab. You just need to build this topology with a couple computers and 2 switches and make this configuration. So first of all, the first thing you notice, Packet Tracer launched in the physical mode right away. I cannot switch to logical mode. Switching to logical workspace is allowed, right? Then let's take a look at the activity window. As I said in the presentation, you can zoom and you can scroll independently in these 3 separate tabs, right? So I can zoom in and out. I can scroll to a specific place in the addressing table. All right, this is a short lab. I could probably even fit the whole table here. And in the textual instructions, I can scroll to a specific place and perform a specific task, right? This window is now docked inside main Packet Tracer window, but you can still undock it with this button, right? And have it as a separate window. If I would have a second screen, I would probably drop this window to another screen and use 2 screens or more. And this is also very convenient. Let me dock it back. Yeah, so this is the idea for this new instructions window. And let's take a quick look into activity wizard, how this instructions window is set up in activity wizard. So I will open right now the authoring of the activity. I will go to instructions. And under instructions, first thing you see, there is a rich text editor. This is very good because it lets me edit all the content much easier. And you see over here that this lab has 3 pages, and this is page 1 out of the 3. And now this page has a name, topology. And I can use these buttons to switch to page 2. And this is addressing table and page 3. And this is my tasks. This checkbox is enabled, and this will render these 3 pages as 3 separate tabs in a vertical layout in Packet Tracer view for the student. I don't know how horizontal layout may be helpful. Maybe in some cases it can be helpful. Like you have tabs arranged one next to each other. What else? There is also some grouping available. And one more thing, this user node, right? In this lab, by default, without lab modification, this user node feature is disabled. But I can actually enable it. I can change it to show user node, and let's save it and let's see how it looks. So I will save this lab and exit. Yes. Yes. Okay, perfect. And then I will reopen the same lab. You see, I have another splash screen. This time the splash screen is about simulation mode. And there we go. We have now user nodes over here, and I am now in the student position, right? So I can actually read the instructions. I have a little bit small screen, right? And I have the Packet Tracer application zoomed in more than I want for myself. This is more for demo purposes, so you could read all the small things. But students can make any nodes here, right? And then once student saves the completed file, this actually stays within the file. So this is really cool. And of course, you can also kind of so what I did, I just undocked these user nodes only. And these user nodes are now in a separate small window. I can actually also bring it maybe on the second screen if I want. So that's cool. All kinds of things possible in all different ways here. Yeah, you can also do this. I will close this. You can also do this, right? Topology, addressing table, tasks. If I prefer that, I can also make them like to see one at a time. All right. So apart from these, let's take a look at this lab. Again, as I said, the very idea of this specific lab is to build this small network. Now let me switch to topology. I will only need the topology for this demo, right? The first thing I will need to do, I will need to identify the devices. So this is switch 1, switch 2, PCA, PCB. So as a student, I will need to look at the shelf And I will have to zoom in a little bit and see, aha, here is switch 1, and here is switch 2. This is a spare switch, so I should not use it. I have switch 1, I have switch 2, and I have 2 computers here. Okay, this is clear. I will now need to move the equipment into the rack. I will grab my switch 1 and put it into the rack. I will grab my switch 2 and I will put it to the rack. Okay, I can arrange them as I want in the rack. And then I will also need to grab these computers. I will grab PCA and put it on the table. And I will also grab PCB and I can put it actually even under the table. Why not? It is also possible to put computer under the table, right? And then the next task I will need to do, I will need to actually power on the computers, right, for them to work. Because when you take a computer from storage or some device from storage, you put it on the table or in the rack, it is turned off. And my observation that electronics actually works a little bit better when it's turned on. So I will turn these guys on, and then I should be able to connect them. Well, I can connect before turning on, obviously, but I will grab these cable. I will need a straight cable. I will need to connect it to PCA. Right? Again, I'm clicking right now on the computer and nothing happens. Oops. I will grab the cable again. Nothing happens, right? Because I really need to select really the port I want to connect to. And I will try to show you the maximum zoom possible. So that should be it, right? So this is pretty okay, right, for the zoom, because you can definitely see the ports and everything. So I will grab, and by the way, you see the connectors, and you see different connectors here. This is a phone cable. This is a coaxial cable. This is a USB cable. So you can zoom in as much as that, right? This is serial, and so on. I will grab a straight Ethernet cable, connected to my, I'm lost a little bit. Okay. PCA, I will need to select the Ethernet port. And on the other side, I will connect it to switch 1, port 6. So my task as a student here is to really select the correct port. And this is, well, not really trivial task, because I will need to really take a look and point and, okay, this is port number 6. I will connect here. Perfect. My cable is connected and my cable is now dangling between my computer and the switch 1. Then I will grab another straight cable and connect the switches together from port 1 to port 1. Another dangling cable. And finally, I will grab yet another straight cable and connect it to computer B. I will zoom out a little bit. Yeah, to computer B, to fast Ethernet port, and I will need to connect to switch 2 port 18, right? And I can navigate to port 18, and I can actually do one trick here, because I can right-click the device, and I can select Inspect Front, and this will show me a little bit larger view of this device, independent on the actual zoom in the workspace. And I can zoom this even better separately. So this is, oops. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I will connect here. And then I will right click, inspect front, zoom in. And now I need to find port number 18. So this is 17 and this is 18. And I connected it. So my network is now complete, right? That's good and that's very cool. And the next step in this lab is actually I will need to configure the devices. So I will need to grab this console cable. I will need to connect this console cable to, by the way, I can also do the same with computer, right? This is an enlarged version of the computer. And I will need to connect this to one of my switches for configuration. And in order to do that, I will right click the device and I will select inspect back or inspect rear. And here is the rear view of this device, right? So I can also zoom it in or out, and then I can connect to the console port on the back. The console port is now connected. As you can see, over here we have the connector. Perfect. So, and then the rest of the lab is actually, assigning IP addresses to computers and making some basic configurations on the switches. So that's more or less the rack and stack and cabling and port experience in PT8. Let's move on. Couple more details. Cable conduit. Cable conduit, as you have seen it on the demo as well over here. You see that? This is the cable conduit here. It represents cable conduit or raceway outside of the wiring closet. So all the cables which go outside of the wiring closet, they actually hang to the conduit like these orange cables on this screenshot. This also works with patch panels. You can also have patch panels in your rack, and you can have cables hanging between patch panels and the conduit in the same way. And because of these new features, I wanted to really talk a little bit about structured cabling. Just to be clear, structured cabling is not new in Packet Tracer 8, but it greatly enhances the physical experience. Packet Tracer supported structured cabling since a couple of versions back, and the way it supports it, there are patch panels available in Packet Tracer, and there are wall mounts available, both for copper and fiber. And this is also copper, and this is fiber, right? And wall mounts is, if you, for me, it sounds like a little bit American term, but wall mount is basically a socket or outlet. I don't know how you call it properly. Yeah, and these are located under connections. So you have connections here, and you have structured cabling icon here. And you can locate these patch panels. You can mount patch cables into a rack, and you can locate these wall mounts or network sockets around the office, right? And so this is available in Packet Tracer. And cables can connect to these devices in two sides. Cables connect to the back side of them, like for example with this wall mount, punch down. And similarly for the patch panel, you can connect cables to the back. And this is actually structured cabling. That's when you use the punch tool to punch cable into this port, how cables are connected to sockets. And there is also connection to the front, and these are jack. These are just sockets where you connect patch cabling. And this works, again, as I said, both on patch panels and wall mounts. Fiber and copper supported, as I said, and structured cabling rendered from the back of patch panel to the cable conduit. So over here, you see these cables. They are actually coming, I cannot zoom in, but we will see a demo. They actually come from the back of the patch panel here, and they all go to the conduit here. And patch cabling is separate from the structured cabling. And they basically connect to these front ports of the patch panel on one side and to the ports on the active equipment. Once you look into the rear view, actually this is quite interesting also. Packet Tracer properly renders the backside of the patch panel with cables which are connected there. And again, this is not new in Packet Tracer 8, but combining these two features together, you can really enhance the physical experience. Cables in the office can be bent and bonded to represent conduits, like you see these bends and bonds. You can color cables for structured view. You can patch cables separate from the structured cabling. For example, right on this first screenshot, you have just a structured cabling system, right? Structured cabling in your building. But then you bring in some computers and you really patch them with patch cords, right? And like that. And this is done separately from the cabling which was there. Yeah, and when you do this, you connect to the jack ports on the wall mounts and similarly inside the wiring closet. Let me jump to another example. I have an example on structured cabling for you. And this now is not, this is not any lab from CCNA 702. This is just an example I built myself. And this is a PKT file, so it's not really locked. So it opens in the logical workspace, which doesn't make sense because you need to switch to physical workspace and go into home city and go into the corporate office, and suddenly it makes sense, right? So over here, you see I have my, can I do that? No, that's wrong. I didn't want to do that. Okay. Sorry. So you see, here is my building. I have my structured cabling, and I have it connected to my wall mounts. And you see, it says that this punch down is connected, and this jack is connected on one side, and so on. Yeah. And I can connect some more devices. So I can grab a laptop. I don't know, drop it here. Grab a cable, connect it to fast Ethernet, and then connect to one of these jack ports. Now it's plugged in. And if I go inside the wiring closet, you can see here how it looks like. All right, so again, all my structured cabling, you see how these cables go? You see they connect kind of to the back of the patch panel. And these cables, they are the patching cables between my switch and my patch panel, right? Actually, I can color these if I want. Let's make it brown, whatever. I don't think you can color cables in batch. That would be cool, but at least one by one you can color them. Yeah. So and then like to make an additional connection, I would need to drop a cable from my patch panel to a certain port on the switch. Okay, and as we are here, I could also show you probably how cables can be managed. So if I click a cable and click manage, I can, you see, it's just simply Packet Tracer makes them invisible. But the story is this cable now goes all the way here, makes a loop somewhere down, and then comes on here and then plugs in. This is the story, right? And I can manage all cables in the rack, and I can click on the, I think, yeah, anywhere outside of the rack, and I can manage all cables in the wiring closet. Ta-da! So all cables are now removed, and everything looks very nice. I wish this feature was available. Sorry if you lost me for a moment. Okay, so, and this is structured cabling for you. It's up to you how you use it, how much, and what you can do with it. I think possibilities are really cool. And one more thing I wanted to really highlight about PT8, Packet Tracer supports best practices. You can make mistakes in Packet Tracer as it happens in the real lab. For example, equipment may be stacked up badly. Console cables can be connected to Ethernet ports. You know, console cable uses the same RJ45 connector, and you can plug it into Ethernet port. This will never work, but this can be done physically in real life. And then you can also do this in Packet Tracer. Connect from the console to Ethernet port, and it will never work in Packet Tracer either. Structured cables can be connected to patch ports. This is a very bad practice considering the properly set up local network, but this can be done. So you can have a cable coming from out of the wall, out of the raceway, and you can just put an RJ45 connector on it and plug it into something, I don't know, patch panel, or directly to a switch. So this is really not recommended. It should be separate. Structured cabling is part of the building, and patch cabling is really your network, your LAN. And all sorts of masks can be created in Packet Tracer, right? And this is good. Bad practices are good in a way because you learn, right? You learn from your mistakes. And I also have a quick demonstration for the bad practices using kind of the same network topology as the base. So if I go into this wiring closet, you can see how bad it is, right? First of all, cabling is pretty messy. Like you can put some equipment on top of a printer. Why? Because you can make mistakes, right? Yeah, so you can do all kinds of stuff. You can drop a server under the table, put an IP phone on top of it, and you can really build some crazy towers with equipment. Probably this could be done in real life as well. Nobody would do that, but yeah, maybe Packet Tracer is a little bit more allowing. So this will never like drop or anything like that in Packet Tracer. But still can be done in real life, looks silly, and yeah, and this also can be done in Packet Tracer as well. All right. Okay, and finally, just a quick overview of CCNA 702 activities. Again, Packet Tracer 8 and CCNA 702 created for each other. Please remember that. And our purpose is to mostly offset the gap created by lack of access to equipment. This is really the goal, and support the practice of skills similar as close as possible to physical in-person lab experience. We have these new activities which are called PTPM, or enhanced physical mode, which are added alongside the equipment-based labs. You can use them. They have locked logical mode, but they support all this cool stuff with racking and stacking, switching device power, building from logical topology, port-to-port cabling. Console is required to make configurations. You cannot just magically click on a device and open the device console. You're required to read link lights, and of course, all kinds of troubleshooting tasks are possible. It only operates in physical mode because it is possible to lock logical mode in these activities. And here are just some screenshots of some activities. This is 10.4.4 from ITN course. It is very, very similar to the one which I shown in more details. It's just instead of couple switches, it is a switch and a router. You just need to put all the devices together, identify switch and the router here. I don't know actually which are they here. You need to identify your computers and ignore all the other equipment, including this TV. Here is another example, and this is a different kind of a lab because this is the exploration lab. You remember I told you that there's There are exploration labs also, and this one is a data center exploration. This is the lab which takes a couple of minutes to open on my computer because it's a pretty large lab, and it has actually 2 data centers inside, and each of them looks like that. And there is also, not really fitting to the screenshot, extra rack on this side, and one part of this lab is students need to complete this rack similar to other racks. So they also need to mount 6 servers into this rack, 2 switches, and make all the necessary cabling. And you see here in this example, the cabling is really done in a kind of proper way. So you see 2 ports on each server connected to one of these access layer switches, and then each access layer switch is connected to the distribution layer, and then this all is connected to some routers, and then connected to the outside. Yeah, so very cool lab. And here is one more. This is from ENSA. 3.11.1 network security, also exploration lab. I just brought this in to mostly show the cool graphics, because this lab uses custom graphics. This is not standard PT graphics. This is just custom. But you can see here we also have the server room. We have some data center point of presence, and we have some devices here. You probably can navigate into the data center, and there will be look similar to this, I think. And there are some security steps, but also please note these devices. This is the air conditioner, and this is a thermostat. Oh, excuse me, not thermostat. This is wireless access point. Here we have some smoke sensor, I guess. Here is the door, and here is a siren. And I guess some IoT stuff is also implemented in this lab. I unfortunately did not have too much time to play with it, but you will, I'm sure. All right, and again, just for a more detailed overview of this CCNA 702 labs, you can always watch the recording of this deep dive special session. With that, I think I'm good with this part on Packet Tracer 8 and CCNA 7. Let me check if there are any questions in the chat. And Akos, please be kind to help me with translations if needed.
Thank you, Eugene. I think it was a very interesting kind of presentation. You highlighted most of the features that are really, really exciting. And I will also try to kind of help all the other guys participating in this session to have their questions either in Hungarian in the chat box or in English. If it's in Hungarian, then obviously I can help with the translation.
Yeah, and also you can always unmute your microphone and just speak.
I would like to ask you one question, Eugene. What's the relation between GNS3 and PT80?
Non-existent. There is no relation whatsoever. I can elaborate a little bit on this. GNS3 is an environment which uses emulator of a real device, which runs a real image of operating system. It requires a real operating system to run a model of a router or a switch. There is no legal way you can use GNS with Cisco images. You are free to use it with other images. That's totally fine. But legally, it's not possible to use GNS with Cisco iOS. Packet Tracer, on the other side, is not using any real images. All the experience you have in Packet Tracer, it is completely simulated from the ground up. It is just a model. Whenever you experience like iOS commands and responses, this is all fake. Not really fake, but it's just simulated. It's modeled. It's written from the scratch by the developers who created this simulation engine of the packet tracer.
Okay, thanks. I understand.
Thank you. Yeah, Akash, there is something on CCNA in the chat. Can you, in Hungarian, can you read if this is a question?
Which one do you think? Because
it was earlier. It was just a bit earlier. Can you look through the chat?
Okay, I see. One instructor is asking basically if someone has a former, I mean, from a previous version of CCNA instructor accreditation, let's say, is there any kind of updating training, or is it necessary at all to be eligible to kind of teach the new CCNA courses?
Okay, it's a good question. No, there is no any requirement. So transitioning from CCNA 7 to CCNA 702, this is a very, very small, it's a minor update. So obviously there is no any requirement, right? Transitioning between CCNA 6 and CCNA 7, these are the major update. It does not require any mandatory training or any exam either. Not required as well. But if you are transitioning from version 6 to version 7, there is a package of bridging materials or bridging course, which we created specifically to make this transition easier from version 6 to version 7. No exams required.
Just one technical question. I mean, if someone wants to do such a bridging exam, can they enroll themselves on the Learn tab, or do they need to contact ITC? Because then I will translate it into Hungarian.
Yes, they can. These bridging materials, they are designed even for students, so they can be used with students. Any CCNA qualified instructor can create a class and enroll their students there inside this class, and also use this bridging class to make it easier for students to switch between version 6 and 7. So, and of course, instructor can also read these materials in the very same class. Yeah, in the short, it's like they just need to create this class themselves, and they will have access.
Okay, thank you for that. Úgyhogy igazándiból azt javasolja a Eugene ebben az esetben, bár lehet, hogy nem kell fordítanom, tehát, de azért akkor már elmondom. Ugye, tehát ő azt javasolja, hogy ezeket az úgynevezett bridging kurzusokat használjuk erre a célra, és akkor ugye kimondottan a tananyagok közötti különbségekre kerül a hangsúly. There's another question. I think it's in English.
Yep. The question from Andre. Is it possible to download the VASC Lab VM without the start of DevNet course? First of all, it is extremely easy to start DevNet Associate course. So I don't know why you should be, where's my NetAcad? Why you should be concerned. Let me show that. You still can see my screen, right? Oh, I have to log in, sorry. I will log in now and I will show you how in few clicks you can self-enroll into the DevNet Associate instructor self-paced training course. You go to resources, okay? You click course resources over here. Then you scroll and you look through all the NetAcad courses. You look for DevNet Associate. It is under Infrastructure Automation, DevNet Associate. Click here. And then you scroll down on this page to the very bottom. And on the very bottom, there is a section on instructor trainings. And here you have this link, self-paced instructor training only course. You just click this link and that's it. Now you're enrolled into this course. You've successfully enrolled. And then you can just click launch course. And then you have access to all the resources in the DevNet Associate course. And it on the front page, because it's a little bit special course, self-paced course for instructors, it has a little bit more information, including section 4, course virtual machines. Yeah, when you go to I think, well, you will find it here. I think it is on this page. Yeah, so Oracle VM VirtualBox and the Vask VM. Yeah, I think this link. Yeah, I think this answers the question. Like, I just did it in like 15 seconds. So can you as well. Question from, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I may pronounce wrongly, Nag. Is it possible to use Hyper-V to run this VM? I don't know. I don't have competence to answer this question. It is an Oracle VM VirtualBox. It's an Oracle VirtualBox VM image. It definitely can also be run on VMware. I'm not really sure about how Hyper-V, if generally it's possible to run Oracle VirtualBox images on Hyper-V, that should also be doable. All right, please, any other questions if you have? Wow, we have 60 people in the session. That's huge. All right, no more questions. Good. So, Akos, should we, or maybe you have some question?
No, I think it was kind of excellent. So lots of clarifications, even for me, but probably for all the participants. So I think we just have 10 minutes. Okay, how is the weather in Russia?
Yeah, so, you know, let's announce the official break until
okay,
half an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to be clear about when we just 10 minutes break, right?
Yeah,
because we used a little bit over time.
Start in 5:30 because there might be. I think there were finally there were over 96 participants. I mean, or registrants, sorry, and some of them might be interested in the second part. So maybe maybe other people will come to join at 5:30.
Perfect. So we have 10 minutes break. That should be enough for. I will stop the recording then here.